Hello everyone and welcome to another video from yesterday's Airlines. In this video we're going to have a look at some of my collection, or at least we're going to have a look at how the collection is changing. Now it was only probably 6 months ago that I actually did buy a new display case, which is this one here you can see in the center of the screen, but I've just got too many models and I'm obviously collecting too many models, and I've just needed to thin out some of the collection space so that there is room for new models, because it's gotten to the point where I'm struggling to fit models in. So what I've been doing is I've been modifying the layout of the collection, which probably doesn't look any real different unless you really know what you're looking at here. But in these two cabinets that are currently in screen, they used to have the Canadians in as well, and now they do not. And moving the Canadians out of this area has meant that we freed up 3 shelves and has enabled me to expand the area available for Mexico, Central America and Africa, and also push across some of the Europeans from the other cabinet, which has thinned out a lot of space. Now what that's meant is that over here I had to find a space for the Canadians, and you can see they're down in this wooden cabinet at the bottom, and that meant that the Australians who were there beforehand have had to shift up above them, and the New Zealand and Oceania part of the collection finds itself, well, homeless. So I've been out looking on Trade Me, which is the New Zealand version of eBay, and I found a couple of, or at least one, display cabinet, which I'm hoping is going to fit in, replace the cabinet the Australians are in currently, and give me that little bit of extra space I need to find a space for the rest of Oceania. So it'll be interesting to see, what the cabinet's like and how it fits into the space. That's what this video is all about. I haven't actually gone and got the cabinet yet. I haven't seen it in person, so I really don't know how this is going to look and how this is going to work. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens and how this looks, and, you're in the dark as much as I am about what happens in the next part of the video. So I'm going to go and get the cabinet in a couple of hours, and we'll see how things are looking. Until then, see you guys. Okay, so about a week has passed since the first part of this video, and for those who are eagle-eyed, you should be able to see some differences in the way the models are displayed. Having said that, it's not quite what I had planned when I went out to actually pick up the cabinet, because as you can see, this cabinet, this wooden glass mirrored back cabinet, is still here, and the idea was that that was going to go. But as you can see, it is now empty of the Australians. So where are the Australians? Well, they are not in the cabinet what I was planning on buying, because that cabinet is the one which is now stored back here. So this is the cabinet I actually picked up, which is a really nice unit. The cabinets came from a shop which was, I think, shutting down. They had a whole variety of different glass cabinets, some of which were huge. But this one's was a really nice cabinet. I got it at a super good price. I think it was $140 New Zealand, which is probably around the $100 US mark, which is pretty good. It's a really solid cabinet, tempered glass. It's got glass tops, backs, it's got a lock and all that stuff. But as you can see, I don't really have a use for it. I mean, the idea was that it was going to go up on top and replace this smaller cabinet here, but unfortunately it's just a little too big to do that. It was always difficult to tell when I was looking at the listing quite what the size was, and the sellers weren't too keen to answer questions. Their English wasn't great. So, I took a punt, and it's just slightly too big. Having said that, it's a really nice cabinet. I'm sure I'll find a use for it, but currently it's just got a few of the models which don't really exist in the collection, but kind of exist in this limbo area where they get used on my Jinlong airport, but don't actually form part of my collection. So these are modern, non-Chinese aircraft, like as you can see, there's a Malaysian A350 and an Air Tahiti Nui 787. But regardless, I'm sure that'll get used in the future. So I guess the big question is, what happens to the Pacific part of the fleet and the Australians? And they now reside in this. So I'd seen that they had this for sale, and I'd looked at it and I thought, you know, that's actually quite handy. Is there anywhere I could fit another cabinet in? And I didn't buy it at the time on the listing. Instead, I just went along, and when I picked up the other cabinet, I said, you know, maybe I could take this off your hands as well. I made them an offer and they accepted. So I got this one for less than I got the other one for, which was nice. And it's actually a really good size. It fits really nicely in this space, which previously had a wooden coffee table on. All the glass is tempered on this, so you can still use this as a coffee table if you need. But it's a really nice fit, and it actually has about as much space as this wooden mirror-back cabinet does. And this is where now we've placed, or I've placed, my Oceania fleet. So you can see that if we just come down to the shelves, you can see, I'm not going to do a full look around this, but you can see that on the top level I've got the Oceania aircraft in there. And then moving down, we've got the domestic regulated area here, Ansett Trans-Australian. And down at the bottom, we've got the international and kind of a spillover in the deregulated area for Australia. So lots of Qantas, bit of Compass and Impulse, and some late era Ansett. So there's a little bit of space in this cabinet to grow the Oceania fleet, and it sits quite nicely just in this area, just far enough away from the pool table that it's not going to get clobbered by anyone in their pool queue, but does, you know, I think a really nice job of displaying these models. I have to say, one of the challenges I found when I was putting the models in this is that, unlike all my other cabinets where you can't walk around the entire cabinet, on this one obviously you can go around any side, so you can get a different view of the models. And actually it's really hard to display the models nicely when you can walk around any side. So what I decided to do after much mucking about was make it so that as you're walking this way, this is kind of the front of the cabinet, and you get a nice side-on view of the models here. And then if you come to the right-hand side, you still get a really nice view. And even on the other side, you still get a decent view. And this is where the spacing becomes really difficult to work out a spacing which actually works in both directions. But I think I've just about carried it off, and I'm pretty happy with the way that that has turned out. So that means, of course, I've got an empty cabinet now, though I was able to move the space shuttles back down to it. So I think that a future for this cabinet is probably that when the supplemental US fleet up here grows a little bit, it could move down into there, or potentially I might use it for more deregulation era US airlines like America West, which is down here, or perhaps ATA, which is down there, when those areas need to grow and there are more deregulated airlines being produced, they could fill in there. So it's nice to have a bit of room in the collection so that I can slot in new models, and I don't feel that I can't buy a model because I haven't got anywhere to store it. I really don't want to have a collection which is in boxes. So I know I've said it before, but these two new cabinets should mean that I shouldn't need to acquire new glass cabinets. And in fact, I don't really have any room for any more anyway. But of course, never say never. So that is kind of where the collection is at as of February 2021. We've got this nice little cabinet here for Australia and the Pacific. And we've gained a bit of extra wiggle room here for some expansion of the American fleet in time. Plus, of course, I've got this almost unused display cabinet over here, which could be used for really anything that I want to put in it. So, hope you enjoyed this quick look. I know that everyone's really keen to actually see the shelves in person in these videos. It just takes so long to do those videos. There are so many models. But I will get to do some fleet videos in the future, and hopefully you'll get a closer look at some of the actual model collection. Until then, if you like the video, please subscribe. Obviously, check me out on Instagram at @yesterairlines. Check out the website, yesterdaysairlines.com. and thanks very much for watching. See ya.